The views and opinions expressed by guests on this show are those of our guests, not necessarily ours. We are interested in presenting different viewpoints and strive to be neutral parties. We leave it up to you to make your own judgments. Welcome to Vision Chat, a podcast about spiritual topics, with your hosts, Virginia and Stina.
Hello and welcome back to Vision Chat. In this episode, Virginia and I have the pleasure to interview Anja Ha Oterhals. Anja is a therapist and a teacher in energy work and readings. She is the owner of Cosmic Play. Anja is a very knowledgeable woman with background in nature medicine, metaphysics, and biopath. She's also interested in sound meditation, singing, voice work, astrology, qigong, tai chi, and much more. Thank you for joining us, Anja.
Thank you.
Will you start talk a little bit about yourself?
I am born actually in South Korea, and I am adopted to Norway. So I grew up in a small town on the west coast of Norway. And it's a really beautiful place with a lot of really nice people. I had a really good time growing up. But of course, there were some things in my background and from my origin that eventually came up and had, of course, a lot of questions about it. At some point in my life, I developed a disease called morbus Bechterew. That took a large part of my life. Because of this condition, I really needed to find out more about myself. And that is how I came into this work and this information and this spiritual seeking in a way. So what happened is that at some point I found a woman in Oslo who do readings, and that was opening a whole new world for me. She had a school, and I started this school, and somehow all the information there just fell into place for me. So I also fell into place with the information and with this spiritual way of looking at life, I can say.
May I ask you, what kind of school was it? Because you said you went to get this reading and that kind of opened up this new world to you. What kind of, and then you went into the school that this lady had?
So this was a school that was called Akasha School in Oslo. This school was one of many schools in Oslo that used a method from Berkeley Psychic Institute in California. And this method was, of course, then taken into different forms. Also here, maybe also in other parts of the world. Yeah. And that was foundation for working in self-development for me, amongst many other things, as you mentioned, or I mentioned. I have done a lot of work with the voice and a lot of also working with the physical body, because this disease is very physical. It's the rheumatic disease that actually grows the extra bones in the spine and things like that. So I also used the nature medicine and also, like Qigong, Tai Chi, other forms of work to reverse this condition or this illness. But readings and these ways of working with energy work and healing, that was something that I really just melted in with, in a way. So that was very easy for me, very available in a way. Started working for my own sake, and also by becoming a teacher in this school. I was there for 17 years till she quit, or also my path went in another direction, more towards standing on my own. Then I started my own courses, of course, with the same method in the basic, but also with my own study in information about cosmology, geometry, elements. So the elements and nature, and also the old sciences in alchemy, Eastern philosophy and medicine, like Chinese Taoism and Hinduism. And, yeah, so it's a lot of information out there to dig into. Yeah, I think that has become my life, what should I call it? My life purpose in a way, to gather this information and just understanding it.
And it sounds like you had quite a journey.
Yes, quite.
How would you describe what readings and energy work is for somebody that doesn't really know that much about it?
To me, the reading is just a technique or a way to reveal the information that is often hidden in our history, hidden in our memories, and also in past lives, for those who can imagine that. For someone who is totally new and not known with this kind of things, I usually talk about self-development more than I talk about reading and soul and all the other terminology that is known to those who have been in this field for a while. So a lot of the education that I have taken in this field is also involving psychology and different sciences. And that is one of the things that I appreciated with the school that I attended, because she was very preoccupied by the scientific research and documentation of how the Western science could explain the mystical realm. When I speak to people that are not into the spiritual thinking, I try to translate. I try to translate and speak in a language and use words that they can relate to and understand. And that is a science in itself, actually, I think. But in that way, it's not necessarily about spirits and ghosts and fairies and all of the very amazing things that exists where we can't see them, but it's about living a life. It's about dealing in relationships with mechanisms, with fears, with how we perceive things, what we have learned, and what we have not learned yet. I think when I sit with a person in a reading, I think that is first and foremost my focus. Just to be there with everyday life and here and now, and what is the issue in their life right now.
It sounds like you take all the mystical, right, the fairies and the magic, which is also fun, but you've created something that's relatable, so that if someone is not into the magic and they don't know about the fairies and they don't know about all that, they're like, well, how can I use this for everyday life? And it sounds like you've created that, and you're like making it relatable so that someone can apply it to healing, or like to understanding themselves more. And it sounds like that's what you're talking about when you're talking about self-development. Like, how do you improve yourself? How do you experience more growth personally? It sounds like you had an experience of having a disease, which, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't know much about, but from what you've described, sounds painful. And it must have affected you a lot. And it sounds like that was the catalyst to then for you to seek your own answers and your own healing.
Yes,
And so you're talking
definitely.
about a very amazing journey that brought you to this place of self-healing.
Definitely.
Would you say that you have self-healed as
Yes,
in terms of the disease and
this
maybe
is.
other things as well? Are you still healing?
Yeah, the disease is gone. I don't have the disease anymore. So I totally reversed it. My spine is still stiff but it's healed in a way. Yes. So I don't have the disease anymore. The disease was maybe the most important thing that happened in my life, because without the disease, I wouldn't have digged so deep into this material that is the world and that is life. And I think, to me, everything is nature. It's nothing that is not nature in this world or anywhere else for that matter. And in my studies, studying the buildup of physical matter and all the layers within it that we also cannot see. Of course, there is also a lot of information about what exists in the different layers that are etheric. So when we say angels, when we say fairies, or when we say gnomes, that is also an information that describes life in the different layers of existence. And it's not mystical to me anymore. It's just that we don't have the access to the knowledge on a collective level. Yeah, so I think it's the discovering that I made. I think discovering this information makes me just want to share it as much as I can. I don't run out in the world and scream about it, but for those who come to me, I will explain as well as I can.
And I love that you're saying, I wish I could run out there and scream about it and just tell everybody about it. I think
no, I don't do that. I'm sorry.
I know. No. I'm saying I love that you said you wish you could do that, but you don't, because I think that shows your passion for wanting to share your beliefs and wanting to share this knowledge. I think this is also the reason why Stina and I do this podcast, is because we have the same feeling of like when we were also learning, we, this, it sounds dramatic, but it did change our lives. And we want people, as many people as are interested and want to listen, to hear about it and to
Yeah,
have
that
their
is
own
very.
experience. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and for me, it's so important for me that you can do this because I couldn't necessarily do this what you do.
Thank you. It's incredible the work you do as well. I have had some readings with you, and I feel you're very present, very soft when you describe stuff, or like you're very caring and comfortable working with. And I feel it's very cool also that you have the sound, like meditations too. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, yeah. The sound meditations or the sound healing is something that has been there for many years. I have a good friend of mine who did this 10, 12 years ago. And she asked me then if I wanted to do that with them. And I said, no, I couldn't. And then some years later, I met an Indian guy and he taught me throat singing and also wanted to collaborate or to work with me. So I started doing sound healings with him, and that was maybe the push I needed to just get into it. And this is now 5, 6 years ago. I don't remember, but yeah, something like that. And since then, I have found more and more different instruments. I have started to also study how, because the instruments in itself gives the vibration and has an effect. But I am also very interested in how I can use the instruments and also use the energy work together with the vibration from the instruments to direct and more consciously use healing into the body. So this is something that I recently started developing. Of course, lying down and just listen to gongs or singing bowls, drums, wind chimes, different rattles in itself can be very soothing. But from my studies, the idea also of directing energy, from intention, right? You work with this too. If that can bring things deeper into the body. So that is something on the side of the reading and the courses that I do, also because it gives me a lot of energy or gives me something to do it.
Would you say that when you're doing the sound healing, you're doing it for the person that's coming in, but you also receive like the healing because you're helping to create that vibration?
I think I take a lot of responsibility for my work. And of course, when people come into the sound meditation, I have an intention to work with them. But to me, this is also from my experience in dancing. For example, I was a dancer. And to be able to perform or to deliver, you have to go totally into a state of being. And I think also in the music and healing, to transfer the vibration, it's important that I am able to be in contact with it in a way. This is very different, from the reading, because in the reading and this work with courses, I have to distance myself to not mix my own energies or my own information, my own personal opinions, into the information. Maybe you work like that also, yeah. But with the sound healings, it's a different thing. And for me, it's not I can do it all by myself, and it's enough for me. When I can be in the sounds and the vibrations and the energies that occur, I think that is for me a way to be in the state of spirit in a way. I think that helps me to be in touch with the, what should I call it, source or something. And I don't expect, when I do this and I play for others, that they will have the same experience as me necessarily. They will have their own experience and work with their connection in a way, or also just have their experience. I will of course have a focus on them, but I also need to be in the experience myself, I could say.
That sounds like quite a skillful task to be like very present within yourself and what you're feeling and coming up while you're sharing it with other people around.
Yes, it's still developing. I still try to develop that, and in that, it's a research in a way. It's a little difficult to describe because it's a state. it's a state of being. But I think that state of being also in itself creates a field that is open for connection, maybe.
If I might ask, because you have this course of study that you did for, it sounds like, a really long time, many years, and then you started incorporating other things. How did you, like, were you inspired just to pursue the things that you were pursuing, or like how did you choose from so many things that are out there, like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna, like, how did that happen for you?
Yeah, that is an interesting question. Actually, I don't run a search around, and I haven't been running around searching, trying different things. I have always had this, oh, I need to find this, or I need to do this, and then I search and I find, and my experience is that I go straight on to, yes, that is it. I don't listen to a lot of things. Of course I listen to some things, but I don't. No, I don't. It's like I got the diagnosis for the disease, and then I was just immediately very clear. It was very clear to me that this is this disease is going to go out of my body again. I just knew it. I had no idea how or when or anything. That was very clear to me. That was after, because I had this disease for 9 years before I got the diagnosis. When I discovered that I should do something about that, I started looking for something to do. And I found this biopathy school. Yeah, that was directly to people who knew what they were talking about, people who had the remedies, who could help me and could teach me about the natural medicine. And then as I developed or started to recover, it took 9 years also to get well. So, but when I started to recover with the changing diet, with the herbs, with a lot of additional nutrition and everything, I came across this woman who was the reader, who was reading and had this school. And that was also just one suggestion. You should go to her. And that was also directly to, oh, this school. And I didn't have to search for all the other schools in the area, yeah, because I just went straight on. And that has been kind of like that for me all my life, or my grown life. And also when I do research, when I do, I want to write my courses, I think I want to have this and this information. I want to know about, I want to know more about this and this theme, or this area. And I search and I find just the right book. So there's something for me. I'm not saying that should be like that for everyone. It couldn't. But for me, it has been like that.
Sounds like it's very strong intuition, or that some sort of manifestation just coming up, like you're supposed to go here or be here or do this.
Yes. Yeah, I have felt that everything I do has just come from inside somehow, because I haven't with my head decided now I want to be a reader. So things just comes from, oh, I want to do this. Of course, things have been introduced for me during my life, but it's not like I have a 5-year plan. I have never been able to set a 5-year plan, because I don't know even what I'm going to do tomorrow.
I love that you're going with the flow of things, but you're also it sounds to me like you're allowing things to happen and you're allowing yourself to be guided, where you're getting
Yeah.
the information. It's like, "Oh, look over here," and you're like, "Okay, I go over here." A lot of times I think, I'll speak for myself, like, it's kind of a struggle to always follow that knowing or the intuition of, like, "Go this way," and I'm like, "Oh, I don't know," second guessing, or then you don't do it, and then later you're like, "Oh, I should have done it. I didn't
Yeah,
listen,"
right.
you know?
Mm. Yeah, right. It's curious to think back on my life because when I remember my childhood and my youth, how I was and who I was and what I did with creativity, movement, also like helping people, that was something that was just basic in a way. It was natural. That was just how it was. And then this disease that came in that stopped a lot of my life. It stopped my life in a way. And of course, this happened over many years and developed. But that gave me very big contrasts and a very different, I think, different personality, different way of living, different choices, different way of perceiving and seeing things. And then when I started to reverse the disease and came more and more back to health again, it's like what was there from the beginning just came back in a way without my thinking or planning. So the thing with coming into the sound therapy, sound healing, sound meditations now is just kind of like letting the creativity and the dance and the music, the movement from my childhood just reappear in a way.
That's so beautiful. Through your journey with readings and energy work and sound healing or like sound work, have you ever surprised yourself or anybody else with your gifts?
Oh, yes, definitely. I think I still surprise myself every week in this line of work, actually. That's the thing, yeah, because I think for me, not doing something that would surprise me, actually, like this work does, wouldn't suit me. There has been so many surprises. I'm actually not able to single out one because if we are going to talk about magic, let's talk about magic. Yeah. Maybe this is some of the most magical things in life, that it's possible to change, that it's possible to grow, or that it's possible to experience something that we hardly believe could be the truth. I meet people every week that are surprised by what this can do for them.
What do you think with everyone that you've worked with? Like, what do you think people most misunderstand? Is there anything that people come in and they really don't understand? Or have you been lucky that your clients and your students come in and they understand how this works? Or are there things that you kind of have to explain to them about energy work or about the work that you do?
So from the beginning, when I started working with readings, it was in 2007, I was very clear because I was also sick then, that I needed to take care of my energy level. So I was very clear that whenever someone wanted to come to me, they would need to be willing to work with themselves and be serious about this work. And since then, I actually have had mostly serious people that really wanted to work with themselves. So then that has not been an issue in a way. As soon as they are in, whatever they need to know, I will explain to them. And if they don't understand, we will talk about it till they understand.
So do you own like a school yourself, and are you teaching people, or is your business like, what is your business, so that people know how to find you and how to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so I have my own studio or atelier now where I do everything, my readings, my courses, and also the sound meditations or sound healings. And this is my business, Cosmic Play. I recently finished a web page that is cosmicplay.no. There is a lot of information on that page. So this has become my whole life in a way. I don't do anything else in line of work. So this is my occupation in what I do in life right now.
What is your next step on your journey?
So my next step in my journey relating to this would be the exploring of the sound healing and how to make this space, open space for this connection or this contact.
Do you see people in person only, or do you offer anything like virtual?
Yeah, I do since Corona. Yeah, I do take the readings on the phone, also video call. But the courses are still physical, and also the sound meditations are physical. And of course, there has been some talk about maybe putting up online courses, but I haven't crossed that threshold yet. Also because I think it's very, not that it's not possible, of course, but personally, I take a lot of responsibility. Also, when people go into processes, then I am physically present to be able to deal with that.
Do you have, so we have the website. Is there anywhere else that people can follow you, or how to contact you if they're interested in your services?
Yes, so I do also, I have both a page on Instagram and on Facebook that is also called Cosmic Play.
Do you have any advice for somebody that is just starting their spiritual journey?
If there is some advice that I could give, it would be to always remember to check in with yourself and integrate the information and the knowledge that you get, because there's a lot of people who say amazing, wonderful, and rightful things, but take the time to understand it on a deeper level.
I think you're so brave, and I'm so honored that you wanted to join this podcast.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Vision Chat. You can find more about us at visionofprofoundhealing.com, where we offer readings, courses, and classes.